I want to talk about a tactic that we are watching the American Gestapo, known as ICE, use more frequently against American citizens in particular, and how this tactic is meant to do what's called chill dissent. It is meant to make you afraid to advocate for your rights, to advocate for your immigrant neighbors, to push back against the illegal actions of these masked men who refuse to identify themselves. I want to show you a clip from the LA Times that was published today that really clearly illustrates what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to come back and discuss it for a bit. So what we are seeing ICE doing more, well, are they even ICE? They are masked men who refuse to identify themselves. Maybe they're bounty hunters. Maybe they've been deputized by ICE. We don't know. They don't identify themselves. But what we're seeing is that when protesters attempt to exercise their constitutional right to ask for identification, to communicate with them, to show up when these folks sweep into communities to snatch up immigrants, we're seeing that ICE is interacting with them, and whoever these agents are interacting with them in a way that is escalating the situation instead of de-escalating it, right? We know that these guys have zero de-escalation training. They have no interest in de-escalating. And in fact, I would argue that what we're seeing is that they are interested in escalating the situation. They are hoping to manufacture a situation in which they can trump up some charges, right? They are hoping to manufacture a situation in which they can accuse you of, obstruction or assault, as in this case, or resisting arrest, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we clearly saw this happen in New Jersey with U.S. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver when she and other elected officials showed up in order to do their job, right? Engage in their legal oversight activity to inspect a private ICE facility where there was concerns about the conditions and the potential for that facility to have not been correctly permitted and licensed. And we saw that ICE escalated that situation. We saw that ICE absolutely created a dynamic where, people were touching each other, and there was shoving. ICE shoved the Congresswoman, and they have charged her with assault. I have watched that video. You can go watch it. It's online. I can't figure out anywhere in that situation where the Congresswoman assaulted an ICE officer. But ICE is engaging. They are looking for that physical contact. They are trying to create a situation where they can accuse you of assault, right? And whether or not those charges stick. And we could talk about the fact that the response from congressional leadership, Democratic leadership, has been really underwhelming when it comes to the way that Congresswoman McIver is being targeted. She has been indicted, and I'm sure that she will successfully defend herself against those charges. But the way that ICE is looking to manufacture assault charges, whether or not they will stick, it is just simply the threat of those that is meant to chill dissent. They want to make you afraid to interact with them. They want to make you afraid to question them. They want to make you afraid to exercise your constitutional rights. They are using the threat of assault charges. They are using the threat of sending you to federal prison in order to get you to back down and to obey in advance, right? To let them do what they want to do, let them infringe upon your rights, the rights of your neighbors. They want to normalize the fact that they are above and outside of the law and they can do whatever they want. And if you interface with them in any way, shape, or form, they will create a situation in which they escalate what's happening and they can, use their interaction with you to accuse you of assault. And we know, I can get into this in another video, but we know that charges like, obstructing an officer or charges like assault like these are very frequently trumped up charges. They are charges that are manufactured by law enforcement. There's a lot of data on that, and I don't have time to get into it, how if law enforcement, which these guys, again, no evidence that they are legitimate law enforcement, if law enforcement used simple de-escalation techniques and had any motivation to de-escalate, that those charges would not be a thing. We know that what ICE is doing is deeply unpopular with the American people, like virtually across the board. Trump's approval rating is tanking around immigration and around his ICE enforcement actions and around what he's done in Los Angeles, right? It's deeply, deeply, deeply unpopular. And they know that what they're doing is largely illegal. And so they have to use threats and intimidation. They have to use these kinds of tactics of making you fearful that they will use the judicial system against you to send you away to federal prison, to get you to obey in advance, to get you to give up your rights. And I think it's so crucial for any of us that are interested in protecting our communities from the terror of ICE, that we understand that this is a tactic that they are employing. It doesn't mean that we should give up. It doesn't mean that we should hand over our rights. It doesn't mean that we should stop fighting for our neighbors. What it means is that we have to be really savvy about what we're doing. We have to understand the measures that they are going to employ in order to chill dissent. We cannot let our dissent be chilled, right? The appropriate response is not to let them win at what they're doing. The appropriate response is not to say, shit, this is really scary. I can't afford to go to prison. I can't even afford to, pay bail and go through a court proceedings, get dragged through court, even if at the end I am confident that I will be found not guilty because I didn't assault an officer. Like you saw that video, right? You saw the same things I saw in that video. That ICE agent or Proud Boy or Oath Keeper, whatever he is, was escalating on purpose. On purpose, he was looking to create a situation in which they could arrest a U.S. citizen who was protesting what they're doing. Not even like protesting, wanting to observe and record what they're doing. So we have to be really, really savvy. And I think this is one of the reasons, one, it's really, really important that we all take a know your rights training. We all need to know what our rights are and we need to defend them, right? You cannot defend your rights if you don't know what they are and are not confident in being able to assert them. Two, we all need to be documenting. I think that this is a period where every grassroots organization that we're a part of, any group that is interested in defending their communities from ICE, we need to have dedicated people who are documenting, because that is going to be the evidence in court that makes sure that our neighbors are protected, that makes sure that we are protected. We need to have that evidence because they're not going to bring it. Something that I think is really important and is demonstrated in this video is that we show up with community. We don't show up by ourselves. We need to have rapid response teams that are organized, because what happened to that gentleman there were lots and lots of other people documenting it, lots of other people observing. We have strength in numbers, right? The power of the people is greater than the people in power. And we've seen instance after instance after instance where folks show up in groups and they are able to drive ICE off, right? ICE that doesn't have a warrant, they are not legitimate, they are just wanting to act like the secret police in the United States. And what we see is that if the community response is strong enough, that those folks back down and they leave. So we need to understand that our power is collective. Our power is when we act as a group together, that as individuals, ICE will do their damnedest to pick us off, just like every other part of this regime, right? They want to separate us and make us weaker and isolated and more vulnerable. We stand together and we aggregate our power, and that's where we're strong. So if you are interested in protecting your community from ICE, please understand that they're going to try these tactics. You need to get really savvy. We all need to be really, really savvy right now and understand the shit that they're going to try and pull, and we need to plan in advance. We need to game out these situations so that we are prepared for the inevitability of ICE doing what ICE does. We need to accept that these men feel that they are not constrained by the law. We need to accept that these men have no legitimate law enforcement training. They have no interest in de-escalating. They are not there to protect and serve the public. They are not there to protect your rights. They are there to violate your rights and violate the rights of your neighbors. They are there to chill dissent and inflict terror. Doesn't mean that we let them terrorize us. It means we need to be really savvy in the ways that we interact with them.